Okay, we're going to start with the first question. Professor, what is philosophy?
It's not an easy thing to define because philosophy is our human way of addressing the whole of our human situation. And therefore, it's the largest discipline of all the disciplines, larger than anthropology or physical science and so on. It includes the scientific knowledge, but it transcends them. And so philosophy asks the question, what does it mean to be human? And what are the dimensions of being human? The dimension of knowledge, for example. What are the limits of knowledge? How should we be living our lives? Which is the questions of ethics. What do we do? What is right and wrong? And it also asks the ultimate question about what is real. What is real about the universe? What is real about us? And of course, how we live our lives is related to what we take to be reality, right? So philosophy encompasses the whole of our human situation in that way.
So, haven't philosophy yet defined or answered to those questions?
How does it answer those questions?
No, haven't philosophy yet answered to those questions arise?
Well, yes and no. Right? If you look at the history of philosophy, which in the Indian tradition is probably the oldest tradition, going back to the Vedas. In the West, it goes back to the pre-Socratics and Plato and Aristotle. Philosophers have always been attempting to address those questions, but there is a dynamic going on throughout history, and that is that human beings are growing in their understanding of the universe by developing science and progressing science and so on. And we're growing in our understanding of the human situation, the nature of religion, the nature of what a human being is. So we're part, this whole effort going back to the ancient world is part of an ongoing process of growth of our humanity and civilization. And that's why these questions can't be answered in a final way. They're always part of a project, a human project that we're all involved in.
Okay, I understand. But shouldn't that be, let's see, if philosophy doesn't have an answer, a definite answer on that question, is it not good for new followers or new philosophers? What do you say about that?
See, the key thing here, I think, is that there are depths and dimensions to the universe and to our existence which are beyond immediate knowledge and beyond science. So how do we access those dimensions and those depths? In any particular time in history, philosophers can do this. Plotinus in the 4th century of the Western world he said, I have experienced the whole, the one, right? He has moved to a state of consciousness that is beyond ordinary knowledge and ordinary science. And this can be done at any time in history because so all of us are engaged in this attempt to live our lives the best way possible and find out how to live our lives. And that includes developing our ability to access these dimensions that are beyond the limited role of science. We need to include science, but we need to go beyond it. And it's possible for any person, any time, to be thoughtful and meditative and open to these dimensions that are life transforming. Okay,
you talk about science. What is the relationship between philosophy and science?
Well, philosophy gave birth to science in the sense of the scientific method, right? The original science, going back to the ancient world, was the philosophers who were attempting to understand human knowledge and accumulate human knowledge But in the 17th century, Galileo and others discovered the scientific method. And it's a systematic way to use empirical methods in connection with experiments to come to an understanding of the mathematically defined laws that constitute our universe. So this is absolutely essential for philosophers to know about these results of science. They're not just speculation, they're real knowledge that develops over time. That's why we can fly airplanes and all the rest of it now. But nevertheless, science does not exhaust philosophy because of what I was saying earlier. There are dimensions of our human existence, the spiritual dimension, the so-called depth dimensions, which are beyond science, and a philosopher needs to deal with the whole of our situation, with all of those dimensions.
Okay.